Hey friends, today I'm going to show you how to create the butterfly at the end of the book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. We are going to use the techniques that he used to illustrate. So he painted on tissue paper. You're going to want to make sure to use acid-free tissue paper. I just got this tissue paper on Amazon, but we're going to paint it with some acrylic paint. One tip when painting on tissue paper and making collage paper is to use colors on the same side of the color wheel. That way, when you're mixing your paints and things, you're not getting like a muddy brown. So to start out, I'm using red, pink, orange, and yellow, and I'm just painting straight on the tissue paper. I'm going to water down my paints a little bit because it goes on a little more smoothly. Because the tissue paper is so thin, we're going to want to make sure we have some paper underneath. So I just have some butcher paper underneath my tissue paper. Now this is where you got to get creative and just do whatever you think looks good, keeping in mind what you want your final piece to look like. So I'm mixing some red and some yellows and oranges. I'm just kind of mixing my paints together, trying to get a lot of texture on my tissue paper. I'm just gonna bounce around to different colors and make sure that I have a sheet of every color that I want to use in my final creation. For this green one, I'm doing some more texture with different brushes and different colors of green. And I'm just gonna lay them all out after I color them and let them all dry. Okay, now on to the fun part. Now that all my tissue paper is dry, I am going to recreate this butterfly. So I just need some scissors, a paintbrush, and then I use this matte medium as a glue. You could also just use Elmer's glue or Mod Podge. But we've got all of our tissue paper here. And I'm just going to start cutting out the shapes to make this butterfly. I'm starting out with the body of the butterfly, and I'm just gonna copy as closely as I can his butterfly, but you can get creative and do whatever you want. You can also do any other animal or insect. You can look at some of his books to get ideas. So we're starting out with the center of the butterfly, and then for the wings, we just want to make them symmetrical because butterflies are symmetrical. So I'm going to do one side here. I'm starting with the top part of the wing, and then I'm going to use the one that I just cut out and lay it over the top so that I can get my other one exactly the same size. I'm gonna get some of my pieces cut out first before I start gluing, just so I can kind of get the layout and make sure I have what I want first. I'm just working my way down the wing and just laying it all out. It's actually really fun to use tissue paper when making a collage because it's so light and kind of shows the paper through, and when they overlap, it gives it more texture and more detail. Okay, now we're moving on to the gluing part. So I'm going to put glue on one side of each of my shapes and then glue it to the paper. The tissue paper is really light and fragile, so you're gonna wanna be careful how you do it. I actually ended up doing a different technique where I just painted the glue straight onto the paper and then placed the shape on top of it. I like to do glue underneath the tissue paper and over the top of the tissue paper. It really secures it to the paper. Okay, I've got all the wings secured in place, and now I'm gonna move on to the body. You can see that the tissue paper is pretty see-through, so you can see the wing coming up underneath the body. Later on, I will put another layer of body over the top of that so that you can see the body a little more clearly. And then we're just moving on to all of the details. You can see Eric Carle's butterfly has so many different pieces to it and details on top. I'm just using all the different tissue papers that I painted earlier and adding different teardrop shapes and circle shapes and just gluing them straight on top of the wings. Again, get creative and do whatever you would like. Feel free to pause or skip or do whatever you need to with this video. I'm just showing you how I'm putting all these details on my butterfly. His butterfly has some yellow around the eyes, so I'm putting those on the face. And then I really like to add white back into my pieces. Okay, look how fun that turned out with all those layers of tissue paper. As soon as it's dry, I'm just gonna add on some details with a marker. So the antennas of the butterfly, the eyes, a little smile, some arms and some feet, kind of similar to Eric Carle's butterfly. There is so much you can do with collage and with this tissue paper, so make sure to save it for future projects. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to our YouTube for more videos like this one.